Hello everyone. So our presentation is entitled as The Impact of Fake News on Social Media and its Influence on Students' Behavior. So as you can see in the highlights section, this is the entirety of our presentation, essentially. So before we start on the main topic, so basically there's been a growing literature on the believability and the spread of disinformation like fake news, okay, which is essentially the topic here. And there's also little known about the degree to which malicious actors can use social media to covertly affect behavior with disinformation. So it was found out that even a short 5-minute exposure to fake news can significantly modify unconscious behavior of the individuals. So our paper provides an evidence that fake news can modify the unconscious behavior of the individuals, and disinformation in general are basically insufficient to protect social media users from this threat. And we also highlighted the implications of this to policymakers and to the democracy. Okay, and because of this, it raises the need for an effective investigation to protect against and mitigate the risks of such covert and widespread decentralized behavior modifications over social networks. So, fake news being influenced to unconscious behaviors to individuals is basically our main topic here. Yeah.
Allow us to set a proper ground and state the definition of what we consider fake news. Fake news are news articles that are intentionally and verifiably false. It can also be information presented as news that is known by its promoter or those who posted it to be baseless or based on data that are demonstrably incorrect or statements and events that verifiably did not happen. Let us put emphasis on intentionally and known by its promoter or the one who posted it to be false or incorrect. And you may ask, why would people do such a thing? Social media has allowed us to have daily intake of various information. The results of algorithms help netizens, specifically students, to sort through public discourse and stay ahead of relevant issues. However, this ability of information to spread and reach audience is amplified by privates seeking political or financial gain, and they use individuals to further spread false information or what we call fake news.
So in the body, there is evidence that supports the possibility for online fake news to affect unconscious attitudes with the aim of modifying the behaviors. Example is the TikTok app. So TikTok is just one of many social media platforms used as a form of video content and as well as a news. But we don't actually know how this certain information reliable. On TikTok videos, there are several incidents of misinformation being spread, especially about COVID-19 and the vaccines. Many people sees content videos with regards to this kind of information so much so that there is now a disclaimer at the bottom of videos that redirect viewers to previously fact-check information about what is being said. Next is this. So, psychology also emphasizes that unconscious attitudes can affect the coherent emotional and moral processes of users. It means that Emotions has a substantial influence on the cognitive processes, or in the cognitive processes in the student, including perception, attention, especially in our memory. Emotion can also affect our behavior directly, as in the case of aggression or behavior that is focused on hurting others. In the case, it may be more on cybercrime. People may be unaware of the source of these attitudes and their impact on coherent processes on their decision making. So basically, it affects cognitive thinking. Instead knowing what is the right news, we knew fake ones. Fake news often relies on misattribution, instances in which we can retrieve things from our memory, but we can't remember the source. That's all.
Implicit and explicit attitude. First, let's define what is an explicit and implicit. When we say an explicit attitude, it is an attitude that at conscious level. When we say an explicit, it is at a conscious level. So in layman's term, explicit are the ones when you feel a person or you have a connection or common interest towards a person. When we say implicit, when you have the bad feeling towards a person, that will be an implicit attitude. There is an article written by Wilson in 2000 that presented a model for explicit and implicit attitude. While according to Rivera and Dakota, they define the implicit and explicit attitudes and the effect towards our behavior. In recent years, there are tools that have been developed to capture the unconscious attitudes towards the impact of fake news. And a good example of this is the finger tapping test. The result of the tapping test shows that a brief moment exposure of fake news has an effect to the behavioral of the teenager. As a result, there is no evidence that the participant are aware of the sudden changes of behavior. By doing the experiment, it proves that the capacity of fake news can directly modify one's behavior in real world, and it challenges the integrity of the market and the social media as towards the information being spread to their platforms.
Our conclusion is this findings show that exposure is disinformation for a short period of time can have slight effects, or as this could raise concern for social media user, platforms, and politics. Then this study provides new evidence on the ability of disinformation to change unconscious behaviors. And then it's finding that short exposure of disinformation is can have moderate effects on unconscious individuals' behavior. Individuals' behavior have moderate effects on platforms and policymakers and social media users, and therefore more result should that even small statement could result to have societal implication, as there were also events during the past month of the COVID-19 pandemic. Um, this also true for exponential rise, or as evidence by the large global effects of a few early infection during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The following recommendations are made in event of changes and conclusions. Students at UM Maine may hold a seminar to explore the impact of fake news on social media and its impact on students' behavior. Regarding the students' social media exposure, the faculty may explain the impact of fake news and its importance, good etiquette, professional ethics, and other topics. They may carry out the students' necessary action plan. Finally, future researchers may use this study as a springboard for expanding the scope and incorporating more variables than those mentioned in this study.
Well, in addition to recommendation, it is basically important for us, or it's a must for us, to detect whether what we're reading is a fake news or not. Because simply, most of the time, we don't really know where the information come from. We don't know the source. We don't know the content of it because, you know, because we're used to, in a way, short videos. We're used to instant gratification. So, um, as per my recommendation to this as a social media user, uh, it's important that we look for other contents whether the information is the same. Because if it's different, then you know, either it can be a fake news or the source itself have different views in whatever information they're getting at. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening, and that's all for the video presentation.